To the next table, closer to the microphone.
Oh, that's right.
No comment.
Big game going on right now.
Which one?
Indiana.
Oh, Indiana Rutgers, yeah. I didn't check to see what the score was.
They're losing by 11. I would think they might.
It's a tough place to play, is Indiana, in Indiana.
They've beat Indiana the last 6 times.
Who's got his job right
Get a haircut
Out
today.
of the resort.
Yesterday.
He's in
All
Florida.
cleaned up. Not that you didn't look so
Went over
good.
to him, introduced himself.
I get it cut every 3 weeks
Took a picture.
because it grows
Asked if he knew
fast.
Kevin Rooney.
You're
Now,
lucky.
you know Krista Phillips? Yeah, I know Krista Phillips. Krista Crowell, yeah, I know her. And, so we're a really good town. Oh, yeah, I know the town's good.
Go Indiana.
Oh, that's
Funny,
right.
huh?
Got Indiana fans.
Yeah, I don't want to hear that.
Florida, near Vero Beach. I don't know.
Right now,
Krista
Rutgers
ran into him,
is ahead of them in the
the other way
rankings.
around, you know?
I mean, Chris
Yeah.
was on the beach in his chair.
Yeah. I saw the one with him hanging from a balloon.
Yeah, I'm gonna put it in a PlayStation room, so that's my office. Gaming room. Watch it all the time.
I saw a big flock of hooded man-geezers. Usually you see 1 or 2 of them. This was like 15.
Well, what idea?
Hooded man-geezers. They're ducks. Not ducks. They're diving ducks.
Where'd you see them?
Beautiful birds.
Because
On
it's
the
so
lake
warm.
behind my house.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Did you see them, Pete?
I called Rob up. I said, "Do you see all the ducks outside?"
And I started looking,
Oh, wow.
and then I ID'd them.
I'm a man of nature.
That's right.
Duck. It tastes like chicken, right?
I've never eaten duck before.
Oh, duck's delicious.
Tastes like chicken.
I like them. I don't want to hurt them.
If you cook it the right way, it tastes like steak. It's delicious.
Rob had his binoculars. I have my shot.
Pete gets a real close look.
Is you almost ready?
We are ready.
Okay, good evening. I'd like to call the 7 p.m. work session meeting to order. Nancy, can you please read the open meeting statement?
This regular work session meeting of the Wykoff Township Committee, in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act, notice of this meeting appears on our annual schedule of meetings. A copy of said annual schedule has been posted on the bulletin board in Memorial Town Hall. A copy has been filed with the municipal clerk and has been posted on our municipal website. A copy has also been emailed to the Record, the Ridgewood News, and the North Jersey Herald News, all newspapers having a general circulation throughout the Township of Wykoff. At least 48 hours prior to this meeting, the agenda thereof was similarly posted, filed, and emailed to said newspapers. The roll call, Mr. Boonstra,
Here.
Mr. Fisher,
Here.
Mr. Melchiong,
Here.
Mr. Shanley,
Here.
and Mayor Madigan.
Here.
I-
Okay, can we have a motion to open the 10-minute public comment period? 2 minutes per speaker for public comments on any governmental issues that a member of the public feels may be of concern to the residents of the Township of Wykoff.
So move.
Second.
Mr. Boonstra,
Yes.
Mr. Fisher,
Yes.
Mr. Melchiong,
Yes.
Mr. Shanley.
Yes.
And Mayor Madigan.
Yes, please step forward to the microphone, or you may call in 201-891-7000, extension 2220, if you wish to make a comment. Yes, sir, welcome.
Good evening. Tom Bogdansky. First, I want to congratulate Mr. Fisher on his appointment, Mr. Boonstra on your reelection,
Thank you. Thank you for your help.
Mr. Mayor, congratulations. I just want to introduce myself as the Wyckoff liaison to the Ramapo Indian Hills Board of Education. I'm here if you need anything. Appreciate it, and thank you for your time.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for coming and introducing yourself, and glad to recognize you as being here with us tonight.
Thank
Anybody else from the public or any phone calls coming in?
Seeing and hearing no one else, I move to close public comment.
Second?
Mr. Boonstra,
Yes?
Mr. Fisher,
Yes.
Mr. Melchiong,
Yes.
Mr. Shanley,
Yes.
and Mayor Madigan.
Yes.
Can we go back to number 4? on the
Number
agenda?
4, do we miss 4?
We missed 4.
I have new glasses, which means I can't see now unless I take them off. Different. I just want to reconfirm that the Finance Committee has signed all our vouchers.
Yes, they are
According
all
to
right
every-
here, should
all
you
signed.
desire.
Ready? Okay, thank you for
Review.
reminding me of that.
Yep.
Came in 3 times to sign vouchers.
Oh, sure. Okay, now, this is the fun part of the 7 o'clock meeting. We have a presentation and a proclamation, and what an honor and privilege it is to present this to former mayor and township committee member, Melissa Rubenstein. So I'm gonna read it, and I'm gonna have her come up and get her proclamation and give her a nice picture and a plaque and all those good things. Take a photo. I see that she has a couple of people she's gonna introduce when she gets up to say a few words. So without further ado, whereas Melissa D. Rubenstein was elected in November 2017 and served on the Township Committee from January 1, 2018 until December 2, 2022. And whereas Melissa served as mayor of the Township of Wyckoff in 2021, and whereas Melissa was only the second woman to serve on the Township Committee, and whereas Melissa made significant contributions as a member of the Township Committee and in her liaison assignments, which include 5 years on the Finance Committee, Police Commissioner, Fire Commissioner, Library Board, Planning Board, Zoning Board, Turf Field Subcommittee, Zabriskie House, Board of Health, Shade Tree Commission, Ramapo Indian Hills and Wyckoff K-8 School Boards, and Ridgewood Water, and whereas Melissa's significant leadership and guidance contribute to the successful acquisition of the Demorest Avenue property, and whereas as a champion of open space, Melissa contributed to the township's purchase of 21 acres at the Maple Lake property, and whereas Melissa was a consistent advocate for safety with a focus on the safety of children throughout her tenure of service to the public, and whereas Melissa played an integral role in ensuring full transparency when she advocated and implemented township committee meetings being shared live on YouTube so that the meetings could be broadcast as well as preserved on video. Now therefore be it proclaimed by the Township Committee of the Township of Wyckoff, County of Bergen, State of New Jersey, that Melissa D. Rubenstein is hereby recognized and thanks for her generous donation of time and talent and for weaving a part of herself into the fabric of the Wyckoff community. Congratulations, Melissa.
Yeah. Yeah.
Present this to you, take a photo.
Move the
I'm
microphone.
gonna move the mic. Pete, you wanna do that without people tripping on the cords like I do?
Oh, I did it last time.
First of all, Melissa, come on over.
Don't trip on this.
Get enjoy the,
Lucas, yeah,
introduce the kids, Lucas.
we could have a picture without Lucas. Come on, Lucas. It's not gonna be a picture without.
Are we all getting, are we all getting it? We all getting it, or Tommy's coming?
Two pictures?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
One with the mayor.
Well, man, get ready.
My in this one?
Yeah. Excellent, excellent. Way to work it, Luke, it's fantastic.
But now we get everybody, you take the pictures?
You slide in a little tiny bit.
Everybody knows where we stand.
That's all Joy's.
You should wanna hold it.
Yeah.
Where was
You
that?
gotta face it again.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Just
everybody
slide
should
this way.
Watch the wire.
That way a little bit. Yeah.
Slide this way so Luke can get in. Slide a picture of everyone, okay. We ready? Oh, that's good. All right.
Alright.
Lucy, you wanna say something?
Sure. Oh, you don't want me to say something? It's been, I know you want to go for house. It's been an incredible 5 years. This was the greatest honor and challenge of my life. The only thing I was thinking when you were saying all those things from the past 5 years was that my dad was up there somewhere listening and hopefully could hear everything you're saying, because my only regret is that he didn't get to see me accomplish all of this. So thank you for doing this. I appreciate it.
You saw it, you saw it.
Lisa, yeah, well done.
Thank
Anybody else like to say anything?
No, thank you for, your service to Wyckoff.
Rudy?
I just wanna go back 5 years.
Oh, gosh.
At the reorganization meeting, when you were first here, and I sat there and they sat you here, and I didn't know what to expect, I know you didn't know what to
I don't
expect.
know what to expect.
And after 3 months, we were good friends.
Yeah.
And we hit it off well to the point where, the following year, you said, I wanna help you get reelected.
Yeah.
So I appreciate that personally very much, and our friendship very much that we developed, and the service you've given to the township. You were a bright star in our orbit here, you really were.
Nobody knows how much this township committee really does. You
Yeah.
know, so much of the work is behind the scenes, and the meetings and the phone calls and the emails to get everything done that this town needs. The turf field, the Demarest Farm, open space, just everything that we've done,
Yeah.
the memorial, the snack stand, everything that we've done over the past 5 years. I commend everybody up here for the work that they put in, because before I started this, I never knew how much work went into it. And as everybody here knows, but maybe out there doesn't know, it's a volunteer position.
Right.
You volunteer your time, you give your heart, you give so much of yourself, and you just hope that you make a mark on the town and give your service. I'm
did.
happy I was able to.
You did. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Wow.
Melissa.
Thank you,
Yeah,
guys.
I would just say too, it's incredibly hard to do what you did, being a young mother at the same time, and it was incredibly impressive for me to see how you balanced it, and what a great addition you were to the township committee with your intelligence and your passion, and always thinking through things logically. And it's, as a resident, really appreciate it.
It was, I mean, I was looking back today, Buki was 3 and Jill was
Wow.
5
Yeah.
the first time I ran
Yeah.
for office.
Yeah.
And it was just a time in my life where I was like, okay, I have these wonderful babies, but I also need to do something for myself and to use my brain and my skills. And I was like, even though it takes time away from them, I think it'll be a benefit to them in the long run. And I think it did. And they got to see some pretty cool stuff and be a part of things in the town. And
Absolutely.
so it was all worth it.
Good.
But thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you, Larissa.
Well, here's
Mom,
your-
Anything else?
Oh, gosh.
Come on.
Yeah, send us
So-
those pictures.
Melissa, send me the good ones.
I
No, you did not delete them, Luke.
We have your picture. Melissa, you got your photo there, right?
Yeah.
Your photo and your
I
placket.
have everything, and now I'm gonna take my circus elsewhere.
Thank you again.
Thanks
Lucas, that's a heck of a grip you got, buddy.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Let's go get some dinner. My kiddos.
See you later.
Bye.
Melissa.
Thank you.
Okay, trying to stay in order. Nancy, you want to help us with our 8 p.m. business meeting agenda review?
Sure. We have several, in addition to the usual resolutions, we have a couple of, standouts. There's a tax sale certificate that's not been redeemed. That's going to be a new word for me, escheated, if I'm saying it right, Rob, I'm not sure. We have a resolution approving the memorandum of understanding pursuant to the collective bargaining agreement between the Township of Wykoff and our PBA Local 261. We have a resolution proclaiming February as Heart Health Month, and then we're awarding 3 different recreation camp and instruction contracts, 1 to Creative and Crafty Kids Camps, 1 to Multi-Sport Camps, and 1 for chess camps and instruction. We're also going to authorize a shared service with Bergen County for our employee assistance program. And we have 2 ordinances. One is to fix the salaries, compensation, and retainers of the paid police officers of the Township of Wykoff for the years 2023 through 2026. And the other one is the quote-unquote pickleball ordinance to amend Chapter 146, Parks, Playgrounds, and Recreational Areas of the Code of the Township of Wykoff, Section 146-35, specific regulations. I also have a Township Administrator's report, hot off the press, that was sent to me from Matt, that I can share with you. Downs Tree Service is out in our town, finishing up the list of trees that were bid on at the end of last year. They should be done in the next week or so. The DPW has also been out most of January trimming back and removing small trees that we do not require an outside contractor to complete. DPW is preparing another list of trees that need to be removed, and will be presenting them to the Shade Tree Commission at their next meeting so we can get another bid out before spring. There is also a list of stumps only that need to be removed, and we will be getting them removed hopefully in the next week or 2. PSE&G is also in town currently trimming trees in the right-of-way. The DPW has been filling potholes once a week, usually around 2 to 4 tons of asphalt. In addition, we have saved money on materials by borrowing hot boxes from Midland Park and Waldwick to utilize all the aggregate we purchase, and so we do not waste it. Knock on wood, we've had a mild winter so far. DPW has only had to salt once, that middle of the afternoon squall that passed through about a week ago. This is helping us with this year's budget. Because the weather has been so mild, the street sweeper has been out on the road about 3 days a week. As a result, DPW has been able to walk all the streams that the township maintains and has inspected all the outfalls. The Ravine Avenue culvert washout rehabilitation has been substantially completed. The only item left is the replacement of the guardrail and some minor concrete work that we are waiting for warmer weather to complete. They will now be moving towards cleaning stormwater catch basins. The fire department, Diana and Matt, have been working to finalize this year's application for the Assistance to Firefighters grant from FEMA. This year we are applying to upgrade radios to improve interoperability with other agencies. The application is due this Friday. Matt was able to submit a 2023 Local Recreation Improvement Grant to the DCA. We applied for funding to complete the accessible restrooms at Memorial Field. Non-paper and cardboard collection at the recycling center is now commingled, not to be confused with single stream. The glass container has also been removed, and now glass, aluminum, tin, and plastics all go in the same container. We are scheduling a fireworks committee meeting for the end of the month to kick off the planning of this spectacular event. Also a reminder that there are new procedures for the pickup of bulky items curbside this year. Bulk items are now collected on the last Thursday of each month. The next bulk collection for this year will be held on February 23rd. Pickups must be scheduled online or through calling the clerk's office no later than Friday, February 17th, 3 p.m. We are looking into being able to accept bulk waste at the recycling center, but more on this on our next meeting. Everyone who had a parking pass in 2022 and has not renewed for 2023, your pass is now expired. Renewals and new passes are available from the clerk's office. PSE&G gas main replacement is ongoing. This is a reminder that PSE&G and the township are working on a reimbursement for the township for the work that PSE&G would have been required to do to pave the roads to the center line, so that we can use that money once the trenches have had time to settle to pave the roadways edge to edge next summer. 2023 animal licensing is continuing online. In addition, our 2023 rabies clinic will be held on March 18th, 2023. Helpful directions can be found on our website on the clerk's page. At the Sine Die meeting, a contract was awarded to Downs to remove several shade trees designated to be removed by the Shade Tree Commission. Downs is now in town working on those trees, as I mentioned earlier. We also had about 7 stumps removed from trees that were removed emergently over the past year. The Shade Tree Commission is now working on the pruning list, and we plan to go out to bid by the end of the month for pruning work. Reminder that the first quarter taxes were due February 1. There's a grace period until Friday, February 10th. For those paying online or interested in paying online, which is the most convenient way to do so, you can now schedule your payments for the entire year in advance. Visit the Township's website to set it up. This is a reminder that paying by e-check is free and secure and guaranteed to be received by the Township on time. Diana has reported that the annual debt statement was filed online before the end of January. In addition, the annual Uniform Construction Code Finance Report is also completed and will be filed later this week. Any employee of the Township who still needs to receive their W-2 can call Peggy in Finance to request a copy or obtain one through the payroll portal online. More information to come next meeting on the memorial banners in anticipation of hanging them up again for Memorial Day. For those residents who may be having issues paying their utilities, please visit the Township's website for information from the state of New Jersey to assist in making those payments. Finally, a reminder for when it snows, maybe it won't, to please help out our volunteer fire department and clear the snow and ice from around fire hydrants in your neighborhood. Okay.
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
Okay, thank you. Township Attorney?
Sure. So you have the ordinance tonight that limits the hours for pickleball from 8 to 8. I think it's pretty straightforward. If you have a question, you can ask it, but I think it's pretty straightforward and simple. We've got closed session tonight for some litigation that we need to discuss, and today I reviewed a contract for the rental of some items to the police department for their junior police academy, which is coming up, which is always a great thing, always well received. Other than that, I'll wait for closed session.
Thank you. Township Committee reports?
You want me to
Tim?
start? Sure, I'll start.
with Tim.
Thank you, Mayor. The zoning board met and had a busy night. 3 applications they felt were too aggressive, and they asked the applicant to come back on the Auburn Street, Voorhees, and the Eastview Terrace application. And the one that they had asked to come back on Sherwood Lane, that they thought was too aggressive at the November meeting, did get heard, and it came back with the revised plans, and they approved a 2-story addition on Sherwood Lane. So that was, they're doing their job trying to keep the applicants from being too aggressive. Ramapo Indian Hills Board met. I went, like Tom did, and introduced myself to the Ramapo Indian Hills Board as the liaison and advised them that I do have a son at Ramapo, so the only time they're going to hear me really speak is if I got an issue on how they're affecting my son's education. And so far I haven't had to speak on that, so thank you, Tom. The other meeting that I went to that wasn't really planned until I heard it was happening, the Medco former IBM property in Franklin Lakes has a huge application coming in from Hovnanian, where they're talking about 600 housing units going on that 28 acres. Actually, it's 98 acres, was it?
It's 90 acres.
90 some acres. But one of the things that came up was it could increase the population of Franklin Lakes by 20%. So it was a joint meeting of the Franklin Lakes Council and the Franklin Lakes Planning Board. So it was a meeting that lasted from 7 p.m. till about 10:30. I wound up speaking twice, because it's going to impact Wyckoff, and I told them they're going to have to get studies that not only study the traffic that's going to be impacted in Franklin Lakes, but you also have to look at Wyckoff and Mawa, because they're all bordering on this property. So hopefully they do. And I asked them please to also look into how they're going to affect the Ramapo Indian Hills School Board. And I did give them, basically what my wife, she graduated from FAMS, which is the middle school in Franklin Lakes. And when she graduated, I believe in '94, she did not have a choice to go to Ramapo. She had to go to Indian Hills. And that has since changed. And all the boys and girls that come out of middle school have the choice. And so far that's worked out pretty well. But Franklin Lakes was split in half. Half of Franklin Lakes went to Ramapo. Half of Franklin Lakes went to Indian Hills. All of Oakland went to Indian Hills. And all of Wyckoff went to Ramapo. And the boys and girls had no choice. So I told them, get some kind of, study as to how it's going to affect the schools, because if you're going to put that many more people into Franklin Lakes, you're going to set the balance of Ramapo Indian Hills off kilter. So hopefully they do that. The problem is Kay Obnadian basically came in and held a gun to their head and said, they opened the meeting. And the reason I say a gun to their head, they opened the meeting going, oh, we can get litigation. If we have to go to litigation, we'll turn it into 2,500 units, housing units. So I thought that wasn't the way to properly open a meeting if you want the public to kind of listen to you and get behind you. Where, you don't give us what we want, we're going to go to court and we're going to shove 2,500 units down your throat. So hopefully they listen, because I called them out the first time I spoke. And I called them out for holding the gun to their heads.
Did they show where they proposed to hook up to the sewer?
No, you know what the problem was? The second time I spoke was, what we're learned tonight is you don't have enough information. You got to get experts to look at this, because you couldn't answer any of the questions. There were angry people there, really angry people.
The last two times they've done multifamily in Franklin Lakes, they hooked into our system and we got, hookup fees as a result of it. So I didn't know if they progressed that far yet.
The only thing I heard is they do have sewer there for some reason. I don't know where it hooks into.
They must have had it for the.
They had it for Medco, I think, but I don't know if it could handle all those units that they're talking about. But who knows? But that was it. So Nancy, if you can keep an eye on any of the public notices that come out of Franklin Lakes, because Rudy was there, I saw him and I saw Scott. So there were 3 Wyckoff elected officials there who had, a lot of concerns. And I had a greater concern because I live less than half a mile from that site. And, we initially heard, and I was able to confirm it was not a correct assessment, that they were going to have an outlet where all the traffic was going to come out of, I think it was Lenape Lane.
Gaywood Drive.
Gaywood. Lenape runs into Gaywood. And it was going to dump the traffic onto Lawlands, which would have been a huge problem for me and for Wyckoff. So that was it. And then the only other thing, Nancy, on the PSE&G gas main replacement, that happened on Burritt today again. It's been going on for like 2 weeks, but one of the things that maybe we can work on, and I think Matt had said he would, a good chunk of that gas main replacement was done also in Franklin Lakes, because Burritt runs into Franklin Lakes and then it runs into their Packer lane, and all that gas main got replaced. So if we can work with Franklin Lakes, when they order, their and they get the reimbursement, somehow we could work so that our dollar could go farther on our paving. If somehow, we say, all right, we'll reimburse you this if you do both, because one of the things
just interrupt you.
Yeah.
Matt's already working on that.
Okay.
So
okay,
that's
good.
already being done.
And then the only thing that he might not know happened today, they actually dug up the entire width of Lawlands to hook up the pipe from Burritt all the way to the other side of Lawlands. So Lawlands also will have to have some kind of paving done, because they put the trench on Lawlands. And that Lawlands has a lot of trucks going up and down it, so eventually that's going to start falling apart. Thank you.
I know Matt and also our engineer are
We
both
are
on top of that. So they're out there.
Yeah,
Aware
and
of
it
the
was today was the
situation.
first day that I had any idea they were going to dig up Lawlands to hook the pipe across the road, because I think they only said it was Burritt. It didn't impact Lawlands, but now Lawlands was impacted today. Thanks.
They do sometimes surprise us.
Scott?
Yeah, they surprised us.
That they do.
Scott?
I attended the K-8 Board of Education meeting. And as did Tom, I introduced myself and let them know that I was here as a representative and their liaison. If they needed anything from me, that I could be of assistance, that I was there for them as a resource. And I think it was well received. I attended the Zabriskie House meeting with Committeeman Boonstra, and we do have in the works, Rudy, so that you know, part of our meeting was to get some pricing on cameras for the house.
Yep.
So that is moving along. Joe Vanderplatt from the DPW is working on that for us, to utilizing the same company we've used before when we did the DPW and the firehouse cameras and at the Larkin House Senior Center.
Scott, just to add on that, just make sure Joe is in communication with Chief Murphy, because we're looking at a centralized system where he's working on a system, so just maybe they could
I'll
coordinate
mention it
so
to
they
him.
have the same
Yeah.
equipment over there on that.
And just a quick follow-up, I did attend the Franklin Lakes meeting with Tim and with Rudy, and it was long, but it's early in the game.
Yes.
For them, I think this was a early proposal that was pretty extreme, wasn't very well received at all. But I think from our aspect, from Wyckoff, we should continue to monitor and attend the meetings and keep an eye on what's going on. It would impact, I believe, our community for sure. People are gonna have to shop somewhere. They're gonna be looking to get through town. You know, helping our industry isn't a bad thing, but that's an awful lot of extra people I know that will impact Franklin Lakes, and that was the general consensus of the residents. And again, to Tim's point, they were not prepared, and so it was a little bit uneasy in that a lot of the questions that the residents had were not able to be answered at this point. So again, I think further meetings will bring more information, more professional to that table for discussion, and I think as long as we continue to monitor it from our end, I think that's what we should do, and I'm sure we will. So I think that's it. Thank you.
Okay, Rudy, you wanna go next?
Sure. Thank you, Mayor. I'll start with the planning board. Planning board meeting is tomorrow night. It's a busy meeting. We are taking additional testimony from Ridgewood Water on their proposal to put PFAS treatment plants on Hartung Drive and in the well field on Cedar Hill Ave. At the last meeting, there were a lot of residents out. We never even got to Cedar Hill Ave, so we're hopeful on somehow completing Hartung Drive tomorrow night. We have new revised plans from Ridgewood Water, architecturals from Ridgewood Water, which should help. And we may or may not get to Cedar Hill Ave tomorrow night, but we're going to try. We have other items on. We have the memorializing resolution for the historic preservation element in our master plan, which was voted on actually 2 months ago. We're doing a memorializing resolution tomorrow night. We have a completeness review for a sign over on Everett Ave, and for a ambulatory care center that Hackensack Meridian Hospital will be proposing to put in the east end of the Stop and Shop building. There's a large void there. Stop and Shop does not occupy that entire building. There's a considerable void of, I think, about 3,000, Scott, or 10,000 square? 3,000 square feet, I think.
It's 3.
It's about 3,000 square feet. And Hackensack Meridian, after all these years, that I guess they have a tenant, is looking to occupy that with a walk-in ambulatory center, and that's up for completeness. And we're hearing the
Rudy,
rest
that's
of the
on that's on the side of.
it's on the Godwin Ave side.
That's the Godwin Ave side.
Yeah, yeah.
They had initially planned on putting shops in there of some sort.
Well, initially, if you look at it, there's like a faux storefront. There
Right,
are faux
yeah.
storefronts there, and but
But they
it's
never,
been empty all these
they never
years.
leased it out.
It's been empty all these years. And there's a carried application from last month for 551 Overlook, which actually is on between Overlook and Franklin, where the pond is, across Franklin from the Zabriskie Pond. They're looking to install a basketball court and improve the fencing and things on the walkway along Franklin Ave. Sewers. We have the engineering plan from McNally Engineering, who's the Barnes sewer, or engineering contract company, for the plan to hook up as a new hookup and an amendment to the plan that's already been approved for ECCR, Hope Christian Services, to hook up the group home that they're gonna be building to the east of the barn property. So we finally have the engineering reports on that. There's a little change to what was originally engineered. So Mark has them, and he has to file for an amended plan and an amended plan from Trenton. As Scott mentioned, the Zabriskie House met on January 26th. We named a treasurer, who was Mark DeGennaro, and a secretary, who was Joyce Santamoro. I might add the new members, as we all know, are Joyce Santamoro and Valerie Abma. The board deferred on selecting a president and a vice president because Rich Lynch has got back problems and he is not able to attend yet. And the feeling was there should be a full board there to elect those positions. But we do need a secretary and a treasurer in the meantime. Police committee, I'll defer to Tom. Board of Health has not met. Historic preservation. I'm going to combine historic preservation and the fire department. On Saturday, there was a fire, a roof fire, on one of our Revolutionary era historic homes. And it could have been, we could have actually lost the place, but the fire department did an outstanding job in stopping it. So commissioner and member, take that back to the firefighters. They did an outstanding. Now they were out all day anyway with broken pipes and broken sprinkler heads and other types of alarms. So they responded quickly, and the family, who I know personally, I visited with them, is very grateful for that they were lucky to catch it in time, and the fire department was there and made a good stop. They really made a good stop. I attended the YMCA annual meeting, in which the officers were sworn in. Pete administered the oaths of office. Scott Fisher also attended. As Tim and Scott mentioned, I attended actually both meetings that were held in Franklin Lakes regarding the Express Scripts property. And I arrived late at the last meeting. The main reason I went to that meeting was to see the plan. They didn't have the plan at the first meeting. And it was, I looked at the plan and I made it, I spent 19 years on the zoning board in Wyckoff here, and probably 6 or 8 years on the planning board since I've been on this body. So I know a good plan or a bad plan, and it's a crappy plan, guys. It really is. I know that's not in the municipal land use law, but it's not a good plan. And they need to deal with that. And I think it might have possibilities and it was poorly presented. It was terribly presented. They didn't know what they were talking about. So we just have to watch what's going on up there. Obviously, we don't have any direct input, but we need to watch what's going on. Mayor, you'll take the police committee report, and that's all I have. Thank you.
Pete?
All
Thank
right.
you, Rudy.
Thank you, Mayor. I was not able to attend the Franklin Lakes meeting, as everyone was speaking about, but I just echo the concerns with the rest of the Township Committee here, and I know we will do all of our part to help protect the residents in Wyckoff in any way we could, if it's dealing with any traffic issues or anything thereafter. Budget Committee has been meeting, making great progress, a lot of work to do this year. We have another meeting this Thursday morning, but everything's going well there. Environmental Commission met in January. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to attend that meeting. Their next meeting is February 27th. Rudy mentioned I attended the YMCA Board of Directors swearing in, and I got to fill in for Tom Madigan, even though they called me Tom Melchion, which I didn't appreciate. But no,
I got half right.
yeah, but that was a very nice event. And then lastly, I just want to report fire department. I attended their company-wide meeting last night where Captain E.J. Prime gave a presentation on atmospheric monitoring. Basically, it's the devices that the fire department use to detect any dangerous gases when they're out on a fire call. It's very interesting. And year to date, the fire department's been on 66 calls, 4 working fires in the last 2 weeks. Rudy mentioned they had a very busy weekend, and with one of the working fires here being in town and one being in Midland Park where there was that tragic fatality. But we do have one of the best fire departments, I believe, in the state or in the whole country, and they're continue to do a great job for us here in Wyckoff. And that's all I have, Mayor.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, I have a few things to report. Start with the police committee. We had a meeting last week. We've been discussing over the past number of months with the K-8 schools the implementation of a LEADS program. So that stands for Law Enforcement Against Drugs and Violence. It's similar to the old DARE program. Chief Murphy is going to move forward and coordinate the program along with Sergeant Zivkovich. He'll work with the K-8 middle school principal in the planning and scheduling of this program. And I think it's good for everybody. It's good for the township. It's good for the kids in the school. And as I said, it was many months of discussions and back and forth and what could we do and how could we work together. So we're happy with that. I think it was mentioned by Nancy that we have a memorandum of understanding with our police PBA that we'll be voting on tonight. And then on the 21st, we'll be voting on the full contract. So that's another positive thing. And we're also very excited to announce that we'll be hiring 2 new police officers on February 21st at our 8 p.m. meeting. And stay tuned for further information. Both officers have conditional offers. We're doing some final dotting I's, crossing T's, and we'll give you some information in advance of that meeting, which should be a nice meeting on February 21st at 8 p.m. One other thing, I was watching the documentary, and I actually watched the whole thing. I was fighting a cold on the Patriots series that was on Fox. And the last one was how John Adams and Thomas Jefferson both died on the same day, July 4th, 1826, which was the 50th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence. In fact, Mary Madigan lives on the top of Franklin Street. Both Adams houses are at the bottom of Franklin Street, so I know where they grew up and where they lived. Also in 2026, this year will be the 250th anniversary of Declaration of Independence, but it's also Wyckoff's celebrated 100th anniversary. And I know we've talked about it before, and I think we should start getting organized and put together a centennial committee. I know, Pete, that you're the events committee person. Maybe you could head that up, and as things evolve over the next several weeks and months and organize this, we'll all pitch in and do it so we can celebrate. It's only 2 years from now. That goes by fast.
Yeah, and we should probably have a subcommittee, maybe Scott, if you want to jump on that and start it does take a lot of planning, so we definitely start the initial planning. Good
A lot of
idea.
involvement. And we're fortunate that 3 or 4 towns bordering us have celebrated either 100 or 125 years the last couple of years, and I'm sure they'd be happy to give us some guidance of what you may want to think about or not think about. And that's all I have.
Mayor, if I may.
Yes.
I forgot to mention, I received this flyer today in the mail from the Wyckoff Historical Society, which is not part of municipal government. They're an independent body who was interested, obviously, in historical happenings in Wyckoff. And if anyone, it's worth looking at if anyone got it. There's, they restored the Union Cemetery. They virtually did it on their own, and they really did a great job. And there are other events coming up throughout the year, so if you have a minute, just take a look at it. There's some pretty good stuff you might want to avail yourself of. And they do a good job. They do a good job. And there was something else that I want to thank the Personnel Committee in the name of Tom Madigan and Pete Shanley for wrapping up.
Pete Melchione, you call him Pete
Did I say-
Madigan, now you Pete Mel
I
wants to
didn't.
call
Yeah.
him. Pete, what's going on here?
What's going on?
At least I got your first name right this time.
Pete Melchione and Tom Madigan,
I
the
do it all
Personnel
the time.
Committee, for wrapping up the negotiation with our PBA unit. Good job. Good job. We have a contract. That's great. That's great. And that's it. Thank you.
Okay, so I need a motion to adopt resolution 23C2 to enter closed session discussion.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Boonstra?
Yes.
Mr. Fisher?
Yes.
Mr. Melchione?
Yes.
Mr. Shanley?
Yes.
And Mayor Madigan.
Yes. Now, we're gonna go to closed session till 8 o'clock, and then we'll come back for our regular business meeting at 8 o'clock. And we have some nice things, some nice people to recognize at that meeting, and we'll be back.